Have you ever tucked into your Sunday roast that nice piece of chicken you picked up from Tesco or Sainsbury's and thought, hold on, why does this taste like, well, not much? Or maybe you've opened a pack of chicken breasts from Asda for your K-Day curry and been hit by that slightly weird metallic smell. Look, we've all been there. You just assume it's, just chicken. But what if I told you that the chicken you're feeding your family, the stuff sitting in your fridge right now, might not be as innocent as it looks on the supermarket shelf? Forget the glossy packaging and the Union Jacks. Forget the fuzzy feeling you get from buying British. Because behind those closed factory doors, there's a whole world of things they really don't want you to know about. We're talking about chicken that's been frankly messed with. By the end of this, you'll never look at a supermarket chicken aisle the same way again. We're going to blow the lid off the poultry industry. You'll find out which big-name British brands are cutting corners, exactly what they're pumping into your meat, and why those reassuring labels might be a load of old rubbish. I'm going to show you how to spot the red flags so you can stop being a victim of clever marketing and start buying chicken that's actually chicken. And stick around because the absolute worst offender, the one that surprised even me, is coming up near the end. Trust me, you do not want to miss that. But before we start naming names, let's get a few things straight. How is that chicken from Lidl actually produced? It's not exactly wandering around a sunny farmyard, is it? The reality is a massive industrialized system designed for one thing: speed and volume. It's like a fast fashion factory, but for meat. Birds are bred to grow unnervingly fast, crammed into enormous sheds. Think of it like trying to fit thousands of people into a single warehouse. Things are going to get messy. And when things get messy, bacteria like Salmonella and Campylobacter start having a field day. Now, you'd think there'd be strict rules, right? And there are, but there are also loopholes big enough to drive a tractor through. For instance, did you know that in the UK, while there are standards, a factory can consistently produce chicken with high levels of contamination and still legally keep operating and shipping that chicken out to your local shop? The Food Standards Agency does its best, but the system is heavily reliant on the industry policing itself. It's like letting students grade their own homework, and then there are the treatments. Picture this: you've got a slightly scruffy car, and instead of giving it a proper wash, you just spray it with a load of air freshener and hope no one notices the dirt. That's essentially what happens with a lot of factory-farmed chicken. Because the conditions can be so grim, the industry uses all sorts of tricks. They might use chemical washes, including chlorine, though that's generally banned for fresh meat in the UK for now, or they might inject the chicken with solutions of salt, water, and other additives. It's all about making the product look better and weigh more, not actually making it safer or tastier. So, when you see terms like natural or farm fresh, your alarm bells should be ringing louder than a fire drill. These words have almost no legal definition when it comes to chicken. A chicken can be raised in the most cramped, miserable conditions imaginable, fed a diet of who knows what, and still legally be called natural as long as nothing artificial was added after it was slaughtered. It tells you absolutely nothing about how that bird lived or what's really inside it. We're being taken for a ride, and it's time to get off. Let's pull back the curtain on where this supermarket meat actually comes from and look at the household names you trust with your weekly shop. We are starting with the budget-friendly giant, Lidl. Known across Britain for its rock-bottom prices, Lidl sells millions of packs of its Red Hen chicken label every single week. People flock there because in a cost-of-living crisis, a cheap family dinner is a lifesaver. But when a product is that cheap, the corners have to be cut somewhere, and it usually happens right on the processing floor. According to a shocking report by the UK Food Standards Agency published in early 2026, Lidl's processed poultry lines have been plagued by basic quality control failures, culminating in a major product recall for their Red Hen chicken range due to severe labeling and manufacturing oversight. Real consumers on platforms like Trustpilot describe opening these cheap packs only to find a slimy, gelatinous coating on the meat that smells vaguely of chemicals, a textbook sign of heavy bacterial load being masked by excessive water chilling and chlorine-alternative chemical washes. The price seems like a bargain at face value, but when you realize you are paying poultry prices for a breast that shrinks to half its size in the pan because it's been pumped full of cheap moisture-mapping solution, it's an absolute ripoff. To wrap it up, buying this stuff is like buying a cheap umbrella that dissolves the minute it rains. It looks fine on the shelf, but it fails completely when you actually need it to perform. Search results. Food Standards Agency: if you think moving slightly up the high street protects you, Think again, because next up is Asda. Owned by TDR Capital and the Issa brothers, Asda has spent years aggressively restructuring its supply chains to battle the German discounters on price. Their Just Essentials and standard Asda chicken lines are sourced from massive high-speed processing hubs operated by industrial giants like Two Sisters Food Group. A detailed environmental and safety investigation by the Consumer Champion Group, which revealed that high-volume processing plants supplying major supermarkets consistently struggle with cross-contamination due to the sheer velocity of the slaughter lines. When birds are whizzing past at hundreds of units per minute, mechanical evisceration mistakes happen constantly, spilling gut contents directly onto the meat you end up buying. For the shopper, this manifests as that unappetizing pool of pink, watery blood sitting at the bottom of the plastic tray, which is practically swimming with Campylobacter. One regular Asda customer from Leeds wrote in an online review, "The last 3 packs of chicken breasts I bought turned gray within 24 hours of purchase, despite being well within the use-by date." You are paying hard-earned money for meat that is functionally decomposing in your fridge. It's a classic corporate bait-and-switch, where the customer bears all the biological risk. Frankly, eating this chicken is like playing Russian roulette with a stomach bug, and the house always wins. If you already feel like checking your own fridge right now, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe, because things are about to get significantly worse. Let's talk about a brand that completely thrives on an aura of middle-class respectability. Morrisons. They love to beat their chests about Market Street and how they source directly from British farms, making you feel like you're buying from a local village butcher. But behind that warm, rustic marketing lies a cold industrial operation. Morrisons relies heavily on the same mass production network as everyone else. A comprehensive laboratory data review conducted by the UK Health Security Agency in May 2026 delivered a massive blow to the poultry sector, revealing that human salmonella cases in England have climbed to a staggering 10-year high of 10,406 cases, with industrial chicken meat identified as a primary vector. When independent testers screened supermarket poultry, Morrison's standard lines frequently showed highly elevated levels of contamination. When you cook this meat, it releases a strange white frothy gunk into the frying pan that's not nutrition. That's a heavy injection of sodium phosphate and salt water added to artificially inflate the weight of the birds, so they can charge you more per kilo. Dr. Anthony Johnston, a veteran food safety consultant, noted that the heavy reliance on chemical intervention to clean up high-speed processing mistakes is a sticking plaster on a fundamentally broken system. Morrisons uses the facade of traditional British farming to sell you the exact same high-density, Thai, factory-processed product you'd find in a bargain basement bin. The final verdict? It's factory-farmed industrial protein wrapped in a flat cap and a tweed jacket, and you are paying a premium for the costume. The Guardian. Now we enter the territory of absolute shock, starting with Sainsbury's. They market themselves as a step above the rest, using bright, clean branding to make you think your money is buying superior quality. Their By Sainsbury's private label is a staple in millions of British homes. Yet, animal welfare and food standard audits have repeatedly flagged that their mid-tier chicken ranges are pulled from the exact same mega farms and high-density processing facilities as the budget supermarkets. The systemic failure here is the phenomenon of meat enhancement. If you check the tiny print on the back of a Sainsbury's value pack, you will frequently see the words "contains up to 15% added water." The industry uses microscopic needles to inject a salt and broth solution straight into the muscle fibers. This pushes the sodium content from a natural 70 milligrams per serving to over 400 milligrams. For anyone over 50 watching their blood pressure, this hidden salt bomb is a genuine health hazard delivered under the guise of a healthy chicken breast. A consumer review from an Ocado shopper summed it up perfectly. Cooked the Sainsbury's chicken breasts and ended up poaching them in their own chemically salted water. There was no browning, just a rubbery texture. You are literally buying water at the price of meat to line the pockets of corporate shareholders. Sainsbury's has mastered the art of charging you premium prices for basic commodity junk, making their clean branding nothing more than a polished corporate illusion. Finally, we arrive at the absolute biggest trusted titan on the British high street, and the #1 spot on our bad list, Tesco. Controlling over 27% of the entire UK grocery market, Tesco is an absolute powerhouse. Their Willow Farms and standard Tesco chicken lines are purchased by millions daily. Because of their sheer size, Tesco has the power to dictate safety and welfare standards for the entire agricultural sector. Instead, Their massive purchasing power is used to crush supplier margins, forcing processing plants to run at breakneck speeds to keep prices down. In a damning investigation into supply chain transparency, reporters traced Tesco's supply lines directly to mega processing facilities that have been repeatedly investigated for hygiene breaches. The reality for the shopper is a product that looks clean under the bright supermarket lights, but carries a massive risk of cross-contamination. The UK Health Security Agency's latest 2026 data explicitly links the stubborn persistence of Campylobacter infections, hovering at nearly 70,000 cases annually, directly to the industrial processing methods used by the suppliers of these dominant supermarket chains. When you bring a Tesco bulk pack home, you are bringing home the output of a system that prioritizes pure throughput over public health. The customer reviews are devastating, with hundreds of shoppers noting that the meat smells sour the moment the plastic film is peeled back. Tesco has the resources to fix this overnight, but they choose profit margins instead. Buying their standard chicken is the ultimate ripoff. You are paying a multi-billion-pound corporation to feed you the lowest common denominator of industrial factory meat. And now, what it was worth watching all the way through for. We have waded through the grime, the corporate excuses, and the salt-injected factories, so let's talk about the relief. Let's talk about the poultry options that actually deserve a place on your dining table, where the businesses aren't hiding behind clever marketing tricks, but are actually delivering real food. We are kicking off our safe list with a brand that you can find on the high street right now, Marks & Spencer. Specifically, their pioneering Oakham Gold chicken range. M&S didn't just tweak their labels, they became the first and only major national supermarket to shift 100% of their fresh British chicken to RSPCA-assured standards. They use slower rearing, exclusive breeds that are given 20% more space than the baseline industry standard, alongside straw bales to perch on and an enriched multigrain diet. In practice, this means the bird grows at a natural pace, allowing its muscles and bones to develop properly. When you cook an Oakham Gold breast fillet, you notice the difference immediately. The meat remains firm, it juices up naturally in its own fats rather than discharging a pool of white chemical foam, and it actually tastes like chicken used to taste. Price-wise, it sits around £11 per kilo, which is slightly more than the basic supermarket lines, but completely reasonable when you realize you aren't paying for 15% added tap water. Laboratory audits routinely confirm that these slower-reared, lower-density environments drop cross-contamination rates dramatically. If you want supermarket convenience without the industrial filth, M&S is your benchmark middle ground option for the weekly run. EMSA Show 3 stepping up into premium supermarket territory, we have our number 2 spot, Waitrose, specifically their Dutchy Organic range. Waitrose stands out as the only major UK supermarket where 100% of their fresh chicken meets or exceeds the strict Better Chicken Commitment criteria. Their Dutchy Organic birds are completely free-range, fed on a strictly organic diet, and reared to award-winning welfare standards on dedicated British farms. Crucially, these birds are air-chilled rather than water-chilled. Instead of being dumped into a massive communal bath of ice-cold chlorinated water where bacteria can easily pass from one carcass to 50 others, they are cooled down via circulating cold air. This completely eliminates water retention, meaning you get a dense, high-quality muscle structure that browns beautifully when it hits the hot oil. At around £29 per kilo for breast fillets, it is undeniably expensive, and we have to be honest about that drawback. This isn't a budget-friendly option for every single night of the week, but if you are roasting a whole bird for a Sunday family meal, the investment is entirely justified by the total absence of food safety risks and hidden chemicals. Independent compliance metrics from animal welfare organizations consistently place Waitrose at the top of the food retail ladder for supply chain accountability. Waitrose.com, but taking the absolute top spot as the safest, cleanest, and most honest way to buy chicken in Britain is bypassing the corporate supermarkets entirely and going straight to your local independent butcher or a local farmer's market. When you buy from an independent butcher who sources directly from independent British farms like Packington Free Range or Springfield Poultry, you are stepping completely out of the industrial food loop. The supply chain is short enough to track with a single phone call. You can look the butcher in the eye and ask exactly where the bird was raised, what it ate, and when it was slaughtered. Small-scale independent processing facilities operate under entirely different pressures than the mega hubs supplying Tesco or Asda. Line speeds are fundamentally slower, allowing for meticulous individual carcass inspection and a near-zero risk of mechanical evisceration errors that cause bacterial contamination. Because these birds are truly pasture-raised, foraging naturally outside for double the lifespan of an industrial bird, the meat has an incredible depth of flavor and an excellent structural integrity. Yes, you will pay a premium compared to the bargain bins at the discounters, but every penny goes toward verified, transparent farming where nobody is trying to trick you with microscopic salt injections. It fits the lifestyle of anyone who prioritizes genuine health, absolute food safety, and supporting real British agriculture over corporate profit margins. Now that you know exactly who is putting out absolute rubbish and who is actually trying to keep things clean, it's time to arm yourself for the next supermarket run. You don't need to completely panic and give up eating chicken altogether. You just need to become a smart shopper who can spot corporate tricks from a mile off. Take a deep breath, pull out your phone, and memorize these concrete rules for the next time you walk into a Tesco, Sainsbury's, or Asda. First, flip that pack over and read the ingredients list carefully. If you see the words chicken breast, water, salt, put it straight back on the shelf. That is not just meat. That is enhanced poultry that has been systematically injected with a cheap saline mapping solution to inflate its weight, loading your diet with unnecessary sodium. Second, completely ignore phrases like farm fresh, country fresh, or 100% natural emblazoned across the front of the film. These terms have no legal definition under UK trading standards when it comes to rearing conditions, and are used purely as a marketing smokescreen to make industrial factory farming look idyllic. Third, check for explicit legally binding labels like RSPCA Assured or Red Tractor Enhanced Welfare. These certifications actually mean the farms submit to independent third-party audits regarding stocking densities and biological safety practices. Fourth, look closely at the fluid sitting at the bottom of the tray. If the chicken breast is resting in a deep pool of murky pink water, it is a clear indicator of high water retention from industrial water bath chilling, which massively amplifies the risk of cross-contamination. Fifth, look out for the words air-chilled on the packaging, especially in premium lines at Waitrose or M&S. This technique ensures the birds are cooled using cold circulating air, which locks in natural flavor, prevents you from paying for tap water, and drastically cuts down on bacterial spread. Finally, under no circumstances should you ever wash raw chicken in your kitchen sink before cooking. The Food Standards Agency has warned for years that rinsing poultry simply atomizes bacteria like Campylobacter, splashing it all over your taps, countertops, and clean dishes, which is exactly how people give themselves severe food poisoning at home. Food Standards Agency, when you look at the entire British poultry industry, it becomes incredibly clear that the system is fundamentally built on volume, speed, and corporate cost-cutting. Supermarkets squeeze their suppliers to hit those impossibly cheap price points, and the processing plants cut corners on basic hygiene and welfare just to survive. The only shift in thinking you need to make to stop being a victim of this corporate machinery is to realize that cheap meat is an illusion. You either pay the true cost of clean, safe food at the checkout of a reputable butcher or premium retailer, or you pay for it later with your health and a ruined dinner. Cheers for spending your time with me today and digging into the truth behind our supermarket shelves. If this investigation changed the way you look at the chicken sitting in your fridge right now, please hit that subscribe button and share this video with your family, because you definitely have a mate or a relative who buys those cheap bulk packs from Asda and needs to see what's actually inside them. Drop a comment below and let me know, which of these supermarket brands is sitting in your kitchen cupboard right this second? If you want to keep pulling back the curtain on what corporations are hiding, click on the video on your screen right now to watch our full exposé on the shocking secrets behind the UK's pre-packed supermarket salads. Keep your eyes open, watch what you're buying, and I'll see you in the next one.